everyone. Welcome to another one of our sit-down behind-the-scenes conversations about the Psalms microfilms. And today we're joined by Tad. Jason, why don't you tell us a little bit about who Tad is and why he's in this interview?
Well, hey, Tad and Krystle. Yeah, Tad and I have been friends for, how long has it been, Tad? 20 years, maybe? 20 plus?
Yeah, it's 20 plus.
Let's not count.
It's been a while, and I met through Tad through. Did I meet you through our friend Andrew, or did we meet before Andrew? I can't even remember.
Probably through Andrew, but I'm not sure.
Tad's like an incredible filmmaker, director, and has done some incredible documentary work, award-winning documentary work, as well as corporate stuff, and just a wide variety of experience. And for, I think, the last however many years, we worked on projects together. I think the first thing we ever did was, what was the thing we did where I was wearing that sweater and I got doused with a bucket of water? I can't even remember what it was, but it was a project that you were working on for some kind of, was it XXX Church or something like that?
It was, yeah. That's exactly where it was. I just saw that. I was reminded of those guys because now he's doing Christian cannabis.
Oh, come on. I love it. So we've been working on projects together for a long time, and I think one of the things I love about it is I think when you work with somebody for a long time that you admire and you trust, there's a shorthand that goes to crafting things. And so when we get on set, it becomes things kind of fall together because we know each other and we know a little bit how we work and a little bit of, we have a similar aesthetic and desire in the crafting of things. So that's part of the joy of it. I think we said years ago, if you're going to work with people, why don't you work with your friends who you like to work with? That's part of the fun of this, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I've enjoyed working with Tad since working with you, Jason. So this was our second large film project. And then Tad was so graciously hired me to work a little bit behind the scenes on the post-production stuff for your running film. And I really appreciate your eye, Tad, and your cinematic eye is just amazing, and your ability to storytell is amazing through the lens of film. And so when it came to doing the Psalms microfilms project, of course, we had to bring Tad and StoryStream into the mix. That was a given to make this project a success.
Yeah, we didn't even conceive it without you. It was conceived with you. That's the bottom line.
That's right. Yeah. So Tad, you said that your favorite microfilm that we shot so far has been Psalm 23. So let's take a look at that now.
The Eternal is my shepherd. He cares for me always. You spread out a table before me in the midst of attack from my enemies. You provide for my needs, anointing my head with soothing, fragrant oil, filling my cup again and again with your grace. I will always be with the Eternal.
So, Tad, tell us a little bit, what was it like to work on this project?
I'd say this was kind of a unique project. Jason, I guess, had conceived of doing this series, and when he called me about it, I thought it was a nice idea, but I didn't. It wasn't clear to me that it was a great idea. I thought it was it could be a good idea. So. But Jason wasn't done there, and I think something I've come to appreciate about the way we've been working together more recently is I think that I know that Jason has something that's different, or that, a seed of something that's kind of magic in the idea, but that it might not be obvious at the beginning. And I think that that's I like that, because things that are obvious at the beginning almost certainly have been done before, or are a kind of gimmick that you're trying to sell. So I knew we weren't doing that. So we actually spent a long time just talking about, how to make these things work, how to make it unique, how not to, just make a whole bunch of sort of, I don't know, over the top, cinematic, dramatic, actors portraying these psalms. I mean, it needed to be a lot more than that. So we really tried to find something that would work. And I think one of the things that came out of that was really putting limitations on what we were going to create in terms of sort of the rules of engagement for what one of these films was going to be about. Number one, were those rules, which I can speak about a bit more. And the second thing is really having a purpose, or asking something from the talent or the actor that was going to do it. That this isn't about just finding someone who has ability and getting them to memorize some things and go and do it, but they have to have something to say. So I think those two things became very unique, made the project very unique. I mean, it's very, in one way, you're bringing the best of a documentary, which is someone who's passionate about something, and that comes through. And in another way, you're kind of going almost back to a sort of almost like a film exercise, which is to say, here are the parameters. In our case, it was, you have to shoot something in sort of one location with a very small crew in a very short amount of time, with very limited resources. So what you are going to do is figure out how to utilize those resources to make something beautiful. So I would say that's what made it unique. And it sort of exceeded my expectations even once we got into the project.
Always under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the classic line that you used to throw out? Well, it's not the worst thing I ever seen.
Yeah, I've seen worse. Nothing.
And we were hoping to exceed that.
Actors, go somewhere between having a head that's too big and no self-confidence, right? So you just need to balance that.
I love what you said about how this project kind of like is in that in between of a documentary style and a film exercise, because that's very much of what it felt like being in this project. It was teasing out as much as you can beforehand, but then it's also like you're just going to get it in the moment, and either you're going to get it or you're not, because you can't force it.
I think that's, I mean, what came out of it in the post-production process, as much as anything, is you realize that, for me, what's special about these things is that so many people around the world who read the Psalms or the Psalms resonate with them, they have the opportunity to portray some aspect of their life, or to have something to say, basically. And you just realize, man, this is powerful. Like, I'd love to see, 10 other people doing the psalm that we just watched, and to see what it means to them. And not like, it's not like acting Shakespeare, say, on a stage. It's not just about putting it in a different era, or, or whatever, changing the sets and portraying it differently. It's really unique. It's really about their life. So I think that the project, it became obvious to me during the post-production that this project could be something much, much bigger than us just doing a series of things with people, say, we know, or in our spheres of influence or understanding. This thing could be something special. So that was really neat. And I think, to me, that became the seed of what Jason, that magic that was there at the beginning that we couldn't articulate. It became very obvious that to me anyway, that's what it was. And I'm excited to see many more.
Yeah. And that, that's part of one of the things we've been discussing, is that this becomes almost like a movement where we, finish the 21 that we've been desiring to do, but also that others would jump off that and create their own projects, or we would take this project and we would create it in other countries in different languages, and, and recognizing the significance of the text for so many people around the world, and recognizes that really cuts across cultures and ethnicities and language in a meaningful way. And so, we'll see how it all shakes down. I mean, I feel like we're just at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Tad, you've kind of alluded to this already, but can you explain because people don't know what it's like to work on a film. So how would you say that the process of this specifically for you like stands out as being different compared to when you've done your documentaries or when you're shooting a commercial, which may be similar in length to the microfilm?
Yeah, so this is very different in kind of all the ways that make it really exciting to me. So the person, let's take Jason's psalm that we just watched. You've
Hmm.
got the person bringing the psalm, and they have a story to tell. So I think what
Hmm.
makes this exciting is you're listening to their story. You're first hearing what makes this thing exciting, and then you're building a film around that. So in
Hmm.
Jason's case, I know he and I discussed, that he would wander around the city, kind of running lines for the shows that he was doing, and that became time to think, time to reflect on his life, and just it was a powerful, meaningful aspect of his life. So then, it's obvious we could find a place like that, and we could find something beautiful to tell that story.
Hmm.
So, we went with that and said, okay, well, how are we gonna, what are we gonna do to tell this? And we knew that, look, we had to shoot another one of these psalms the same day, 2 hours away. So, like, we're gonna have to do this quickly. And also, it's a
Yeah.
very difficult performance. Jason can't be doing this all day. I mean, we're really asking him to enter into something that's deep to do. So, we get the
Yeah.
chance to then create the story around what he has to say, and then execute that, with a small team quickly. And it's just a great
Hmm.
challenge. I think you get your best work from people. So in that case, to give people an idea of what we did, we're I don't know when we met. It was at like before 4 o'clock in the morning, I think, that we met on that set, because we knew that, in the middle of the day, one, that's going to be a busy place. It's just going to be kind of a harsh white light. And we wanted something that kind of felt like magic, either early morning or
Hmm.
late evening. And evening again was going to be busy. So we thought, look, the only time we're going to be able to shoot this is a window of maybe 45 minutes in the morning,
Hmm.
from when the sun is first coming up until it rises. And you can see in the final film, I think that was maybe our second last take of
Yeah.
the shot, and you can see, as Jason's walking away at the end, in that sunrise
Hmm.
against the building is very beautiful.
Hmm.
But that was kind of all the time we had. That was it, and
Yeah.
We
it
better
came
have
off
got it,
perfect.
or it wasn't going to work.
Yes,
And I
absolutely.
think that because of those constraints, as you said, like a large budget film, well, they would have booked 3 days, 3 mornings or 4 mornings in that alleyway to ensure that they got the shots. And, again, they would have probably had a few different moments where they could cut in and out easily. And we didn't have that. Jason specifically is one take. So you had to do it all together. And we didn't have multiple mornings, we had one. So yeah, I love that because those are the differences on working on this project. And then putting the actor's story, what they're telling, at the center as well. It's, actors always do influence how a story is shared, but to put their desire of what they're trying to communicate at the center is different from other projects for sure, and more in that
Yeah.
documentary style.
Yes, and I think something Jason and I certainly discussed quite a lot at the beginning before we started the project was what would be consistent across all these microfilms, and we talked
Hmm.
about aesthetics. We talked about all kinds of visual, audio, story kind of cues, and I think we didn't, even by the time we shot, we hadn't completely settled on what it needed to be, but it became
No.
Yeah.
clear enough that the the person doing the psalm needed to have something to say, a
Yeah.
reason to do it, and something they were trying to convey. We needed to be able to do it in a very confined space, and we wanted the space in which they're doing it to be meaningful, a meaningful part of
Hmm.
this. And that doesn't mean it needs to be, an outrageous looking space. It could be an armchair in the middle of their living room, if that meant
Hmm.
something. But it was
Hmm.
meant to mean something to them. It wasn't meant
Yeah.
that we would construct a great set and put them in it and have them deliver lines. It was supposed to be something that was meaningful, or represented something meaningful. So I think once you start to put a few of those things in place, you realize that those parameters actually create better, tighter, sort of more complete stories than just having the freedom to do anything you want, which is often a mistake. Is everything becomes a bit over the top, and you lose some of that the power of the story. And I think in Jason's, there was no reason it had to be one take. There was no reason it couldn't be, but why not? I mean, there's power that builds, as you keep watching him, and you're not thinking as you're watching it the first time, oh, this is one take. It's almost over before you know. But the camera is moving around him. It's moving, in that case, we're on a gimbal that allows us to sort of be following him kind of at the beginning. We sort of meet him in the middle, and then he really approaches us, in the end part of the thing. So it's still very much by design what we're doing. So, we spent the first number of takes kind of figuring out that camera movement and making it feel like we're in the right proximity to him. And then, by the end it worked out.
Yeah. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful.
I'll add one more thing.
Let
me add one more thing. I think one of the things that makes working with Jason the shorthand that we talked about that I love, and I think it's something that hopefully people can find if they do similar kind of things, is to trust that if you come prepared, that even better things will show up on set. And so often we come with a good plan for sure, but we're very, I enjoy that Jason is very willing to try something different if it shows up. And I think that when we're working together or collaborative projects like this, I think allow you to be even more creative, because you can bounce ideas off each other as you're doing them and quickly figure out whether you like that, rather than sort of the pressure of making that decision and then living with it down the road.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's really, really good. I think one of the other elements, Tad, that I think's really been significant that I don't know if I was surprised at, but I feel like it just in post, it took the magic to the next level is, Mike Jansen's music added into the whole mix has been, I think in many ways, I don't know if it's the package that the whole thing gets wrapped in or the bow that gets on the top or something, that it just feels like, the sprinkling of magic on the whole project with the music. It's real. I've just been delighted in the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I mean, Jason, I think you and Mike get the credit for that. I think that was really inspired. I mean, first of all, Mike is an incredibly talented guy. So, if there's anyone, I don't know that you can just, hope that that's going to work for most people. That's very difficult. So one, there's that. And then two, I think, Jason, you bring a really strong sense of, how the music can be a character in that project. And whether that's, from interacting with music so much throughout your career in creating shows and it being such a big part of what you do. But I think most people would have just put music and good music in behind those songs, but they wouldn't necessarily have let the music really be a character in the film or really inform it, really bring something different. So I was, just as you say, delighted by what that became. I mean, some of them, it's almost like you listen to those with the music and without the music, and they are just radically different pieces. And those that is not
so
music
true.
that we had. And I don't know if maybe with yours you had some music in mind, but I don't think we had not discussed in depth what the music was going to be before the performances of many of those songs. And obviously we could, but you don't know what you're going to get in the performance. So I think it was really cool that the music could come and complement the visuals, complement the performance, and really, I think it takes it to a level that is beyond, what I expected, frankly.
I love that. I love you using the word that the music becomes a character in the microfilms, because we're used to hearing directors and actors talk about locations becoming characters in the film, part of what's driving, the energy. But it's interesting to think about music coming in the post and becoming a character. And it is true. You watch them without the music and they are very different. And typically we think of music as just being supportive, right? To further along the emotional intensity or just to calm things down, but not necessarily to tell a paralleling story. to the text, and that is a
Yes.
great way to talk about the music and these microfilms. Yeah, that's very cool. Well, Tad, thank you so much for jumping on this little interview, this little discussion where we could talk about the Psalms microfilms. This is cycle 1, so we're really hopeful and excited to be doing cycle 2 and 3. And so for those of you that are watching, if you want to join with us, to partner with us, you can do that in a variety of ways. Donating is an amazing way to do it. That's how cycle 1 was funded, was by foundations and individual donors. So look in the comment section or description for a direct link for you to donate as well. And also share these films. You know, there will be the link to watch all the different Psalms microfilms that we've released to date in the description or comments, so you can go watch them. And as you're watching them, if someone comes to mind, if a community group you're a part of comes to mind, please share them out with people, because we want to impact people around the world with these. Jason, any other last words before we go?
No, I just feel grateful. When we were in the process of this, I thought, my life is, I feel grateful. Obviously I'm grateful for my family and so many things, but it's just a joy to get to work with you, Tad, and you, Krystle. And I was, at the end of working on all this, I thought, I don't know if it gets much better than this. It's like I get to be creative, I get to work with my friends, and I get to work with incredible content. So it's a good day. It's a good life. So I feel grateful.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks everyone. We'll see you at the next time we sit down and have a conversation.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you.